As a small biz pro, and so we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
And hello. You there?
I hear all kinds. I hear all kinds. Hello, everyone. This is the Business Zone. See, do you hear that?
No, I don't hear anything. Welcome to the Business Zone, everybody.
I I
Gilbert said
gotta figure.
he's hearing
I gotta
background
figure out what's
noises.
going. Oh man, can you hear that?
I can't hear anything.
So can you hear background noise over there, co-host?
No, I can't.
Oh man, all right, man.
And your Business Zone is backwards.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and
Okay,
go
everybody,
ahead and
welcome to the
lead. Go
Business
ahead and lead.
Zone. It's Friday, the 26th. We are already finished with the month of May. It zoomed on past us like it was on fire. So we are here at Memorial Day weekend. So I hope you all have great plans for the weekend. And so next month, which is June, which is in a couple of days, we are 6 months in to the year. So I hope you're at your halfway point for your goals. If not, y'all got to get on the track now, because before you know it, it will be December. It'll be Christmas again, and it's too late for the goals then.
Oh my Lord. You know what I did, right?
What'd you do?
I went to our website earlier and I left it up. And that's what happened. So now that we came on live, it automatically triggered our website. So that's why you're hearing that delayed
Oh,
confusion in the background.
oh, so you were hearing us. Well, at least I know
Yes.
that we're live on our website. Well, that's good to know, because I rarely ever go over there. So that's good to know. So you guys can always go to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert and check us out live.
I was so confused. I'm going, wait a second, what's going on? I'm hearing so many things going on in my ears. So,
Well, that's good to know. You wanted to tell somebody how they can see the Business Zone, so there you go. You can just go on over to our website and check us
that's
out.
right. That's right. You go to our website at the Business Zone with crystalandgilbert.com. You will see the show live. You'll see us live. And also you'll see a lot of our previous shows on here. So you can just click on a show if you want. You can also join and subscribe and register with us. And you can enjoy the wonderful presentation of our website, the Business Zone. As a matter of fact, this website was created by my one and only co-host. She's been phenomenal. I mean, I couldn't do this myself. I don't even know how to do a website. But she did an amazing job, guys. Go to our website at the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. That's all one word. The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert.com. And you'll see this amazing site, guys. She did a great job.
That's because I'm a closet geek. So if anybody wants to know that, so behind the scenes, that's who I am. I'm a closet geek.
Closet geek.
So I like all that little stuff right there. But yeah, so yeah, going over there, Gilbert discovered that all by
All by
happenstance.
myself. I That's amazing, though. That's amazing, man. That is
So
amazing.
we do want to welcome you guys to the Business Zone. We also want you, in addition to going over to our website, you can go over here. You can hit this little scan our QR code, and you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find us over there live as well on YouTube. And we'd love for you to subscribe to our channel. We really, really, truly want to grow that channel so that we can monetize the Business Zone. So it's absolutely free to you guys. All you have to do is scan it or just go over to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. And every time we go live, you will get a notification into your email or onto your phone, and it will let you know that we are live on the air. So and Gilbert and I have been in this space, this business consulting, business coaching space for between the two of us 30 years plus. So we have a wealth of information. And not only do we have a wealth of information, we absolutely love what we do.
That's right.
Love sharing it, and we're very passionate about that. So we want we want all our businesses to grow. We want all our businesses to be able to scale their business and provide you with the mentorship and the tools that you need in order to be a successful business. So you can catch us in other places. You can catch us at other organizations and that we teach and train and coach at. But here you can get us, you could be in the middle of the night and decide you just want to binge watch us, and you can go over to our channel. We have over 600 videos with us doing what we do, what we love to do. So you guys, we go over there and subscribe to our channel and just check us out, because there's some great information over there for you. So
I couldn't have said it any better, my co-host. That was a great presentation of how they can access us and get all the wonderful benefits that we provide.
Right, exactly. And sometimes, Gilbert, I always tell people, sometimes it's just really hard to catch up with us. Our calendars are really super busy,
Yeah,
and my calendar is going to be really crazy busy coming this summer. And so sometimes that answer that you're looking for could be right over there. But but both of us, we have this thing about business, but we have a even more of a thing about you doing business properly.
yeah, that's right. That's right. That because the thing is, folks, when you do business properly, you got your back office set up, your infrastructure set up, you got the right paperwork in place. It makes your life so much easier, because when an opportunity comes about, all you got to do is just access those documents in 6 seconds or less, bam, and provide all the paperwork that your contract provider is asking you for, and you're in. That's it, guys. That's it.
And you want to be ready. I tell clients that all the time. I mean, there's a numerous of times. Hey, Judge Jessica, there's numerous of times that I've been asked to speak, and I get it off the cuff from time. Sometimes people are like, "Can you just come speak right now?" And like, whoa, okay, yeah, sure. What you want me to talk about? I have a whole bag of speeches and information that because I do this all the time, right? So you
Yeah,
tell me what you want, and I can pull it out my little bag of tricks and make it happen. And
that's
I
right.
usually have everything that I need at my fingertips. Somebody
Yeah.
asked me for something, and I have it. I have it already ready. So that's what
Mhm.
we want you guys to do, to be ready, not getting ready, but already ready. Because sometimes those opportunities just present themselves right there in the moment, and you can't. Sometimes those opportunities don't come back.
Right.
Sometimes they
And
require you to be ready right then and there.
the way the system is set up, um, uh, I want to say viewers,
Yeah.
the way the system is set up, it's designed, it's structured against us. Okay, so a contract opportunity will come up and they'll send it to you today. It's due tomorrow, or it's due in 2 days. You don't have time to gather all those documents. So because we know those things, we got to play to win at all times. So that's why you want to make sure you take care of your back office. Make sure you got everything in order, so that when they try to play that little game with you by throwing an opportunity, because they expect you to fail. Okay, and when I say they, I mean the system. Contract providers, okay? And these are government contract providers, commercial contract providers, the system. They want you to fail as a small and micro business. So they'll say, see, we send opportunities to them, but they never respond. Well, the reason we can't respond is because we don't have enough time to respond. So now that we know that's what they're doing, we want to be ready at all times. So if they throw an opportunity at us and say, okay, the bidding closing date is going to be closed tomorrow at noon, you're ready. You got all of that stuff, all your documents in place. All of it is current. All of it is active. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build businesses that are flexible and nimble. That's what we're trying to do.
I like that word, nimble.
Yes,
I like that.
nimble.
I taught a class this week with the business New Women's Business Center, and we were going through business processes, and just the basic things that need to be in place for a business, right?
Yeah.
And those are marketing and sales. Those are for those businesses that have products and services, your supply chain management, and then of course accounting and finance, and then finally your human resources, right? Those are the four functions and business processes that, I don't care what type of business that you're doing, they
Yeah.
always have to be in place. But when we stop and think about it, Gilbert, for the businesses that we coach all the time, how
Yeah.
many of them have all four of those functions in place, or those processes in place at any given point in time, right?
Not too many. You can count it on one hand, guys. One hand. And we're talking at least 1,500 small businesses. We can count it on one hand.
So and they have to be in place. You can't run a business without marketing and a marketing strategy or a
Yeah.
sales strategy, right?
Yeah.
You just, and so many businesses are like surprised. I remember when I first started marketing my business and providing accounting and bookkeeping services, right? And I
Yeah.
would help clients and we get their financials, and at the end of the year we do a financial I give them their P&L, their profit and loss statement, and they go, I made that much money. And I'm going, okay, you didn't know how much money you made throughout the year? So I thought that was interesting.
So
I said,
that means their bookkeeper or their accountant could be taking money out of it and they don't even know it.
well, if they had a bookkeeper and accountant, they probably could have, but most of them didn't have that. Because when, again, I'm having these conversations all the time. So that's one of my first conversations. What is your go-to accounting system? Or how do you keep track of your income, and how do you keep track of your expenses? And some of them have Excel spreadsheets. Some of them use receipts. Some of them their bank statements are
Yeah.
their tracking device. So of course, if you're using your bank statements, you really truly don't know until the end of the year what
Right.
that looks like, right? Until you tally all that up, and
Mhm.
then you're providing that for your accountant or the tax payer provider
Right.
preparer. So now my question is, when when a client is referred to me, my first question is, okay, so how much money do you think you've made this year?
Mhm.
How much money did you make last year? And what was the goal that you set for yourself for this year? Those are my questions now.
Right.
And so because I think it's very important that we have that. We're in business to make money. I tell my
That's
kids all
right.
the time when I'm teaching my entrepreneur kids, you're not in, well, you could be in business just for the sake of a hobby, and it's a
Right.
gig, and you
Right.
just kind of having fun at this. I did have a client one time when I was trying to teach her how to do accounting, and she told me, "I'm sorry." After we went through it, and we were having just a really hard time trying to get moving forward. And
Right.
she finally said to me, she didn't want to know.
Wow.
She
That is that is like, how can I say how can I say that? It's like walking in the dark, pitch dark, in a tunnel and hoping not, and you hear water running, but you don't know if it's a stream or a river, a tributary or anything like that. But you're walking in this dark place, not knowing if you're going to slip and fall, hit your head and die. It's crazy.
right. She and the reason she didn't want to know was because really, truly, it was a retail business, and really, truly, what it was a really what it was, a hobby, and she did not want to know how much money she was spending on this hobby.
That is
And
crazy.
so if we had to move forward with her actual with the financials, then she would have seen exactly how much money. So to this day, we have not readdressed it, and she don't
Wow.
want to know. So
Wow.
I was like, okay, I guess that's an interesting way to do
that
business.
that is crazy, man. It's like stabbing in the dark, you know? It's okay. You know how cats, they've got night vision and they can see very clearly at night in the dark, but we can't because our eyes are not set up that way. So
No,
it's like being out in the middle of a forest, a rainforest, right?
right,
In the middle of the night, and there's a cat out there, a lion or a cougar or a jaguar or one of those things, right?
right.
And it's coming to get you, but you can't see it, but it can see you. So that's how it is running your business and not wanting to know whether you're making a profit, whether your expenses are more than your income, that type of thing. It's crazy.
It is, but there that was the first I've ever heard of that one. I'm not quite sure how the taxes get done at the end of the year, but
Wow.
they were adamant about that, so we've never gone back to readdress that. But
Mm-mm.
I get it. Okay, so if it's a gig kind of thing or a
Yeah.
hustle,
Yeah.
then you just want to make the money. You go out and buy. You don't want to know that you're spending more money on product
Yeah.
and raw materials than you are on than you're actually generating in revenue. You have more expenses, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just the whole idea is to write off. But all that to be said is, so that first process is the marketing and sales, not having a strategy on how you're going to increase your brand awareness
Mm-hmm.
and making sure people know that you're in business. And that is so important, because I find that also a major problem for small business owners,
Yeah.
not having a marketing strategy. And I think we could get away with that years and years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if well, I think out the gate I did, but I don't know if we spent as much time on marketing our business maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. But I think because we're as there was a video that I showed. Let me see if I can find it, because I thought it was an
Mm-hmm.
excellent video, but it was with Steve Jobs. And
Mm-hmm.
Steve, I showed it to my students the other day, and Steve Jobs says that he said that it's such a noisy world out there that you
Yeah.
always stay on top of your marketing uh, s- uh, um, strategy, because
Mm-hmm.
one, it was a time. Remember back, and this is probably going to date both of us, but when Apple first came out, Apple was all about the Mac, the Apple computer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And but not everybody, everyone was Apple literate, and not everyone had accessibility to an Apple computer. Generally, you learned how to use it depending on the industry that you worked in, right? So if you worked in a creative place, industry, or if you were working in the educational industry, then you used a Mac, right? But other than that, when the PC came along, it kind of like took over. It came in like gangbusters, right? So Bill
because
Gates,
I think it was more simplified and easier to use by
it
the
was
user.
more simplified. And so I remember, when Bill Gates and Microsoft and the Microsoft Office product came out, and, with the disk and all that sort of stuff, that dates me way back there. But however, I've actually never actually used, and I don't know about you, but I've never used a Mac.
I used it when I was in college to do my resume, but that's about it. I never
Okay.
used it for anything else.
So Apple had a time when they were losing momentum in their space because Microsoft was a much more accessible product, and the PC computer was a much more affordable product. And so people were more gravitating to the PC, and so they had to really think about how are we marketing, and they had to hire a company to get out the information. So so Steve Jobs indicated that we had to stop talking about bytes and megabytes and all that, and we had to start talking about value. We had to start talking about what the company represented. And then that's how they kind of turned around their strategy, and it became more not about the whole company of Apple and what it represented, not just one of the products, which was a really good strategy, because down the line they then came out with phones and all the other products. But if they had to just focused in on just the computer, or their PC, their Mac computer, then they would have been very limited. So, lesson to be learned for businesses. Yeah, we start out with one product, but we hopefully we grow and evolve to multiple products. And so it's really about our company and our company values that we're marketing, and not just one product.
That's true. That is true.
Right. So
Yeah. And see, that's the part of the evolution process, because we've evolved from that, and look where we are now.
yeah.
Because before he was saying, don't be concerned about megabytes and all of that. Right now they're doing terabytes and all types of things, and it's on those little flash drives. You see
Right,
what I mean?
exactly. I mean, we've gone, because the computer world has just changed so drastically from 1988, or I think they came out in 1998, 1986, somewhere around that time, to now in 2023, the evolution. I mean, heck, look at us now. We're in AI. We're at artificial intelligence, and we're looking at how do we incorporate AI into our regular business. And our guest is coming in today too. Awesome.
Who would have thought about that? Now we're dealing with AI. I mean, this is how I look at AI. AI to me, when a little kid is dreaming, right? They say, you know, I want to do this to change the world, and I want this to happen. I want to put my finger through the window and I can touch something, but the glass doesn't break. Those are just fantasies that kids have that come to fruition. You see what I'm saying? So that's what AI is about, because AI is, I would love to be able to just look at the screen and tell the screen, hey, write me a press release or write me a capability statement, and the AI does it, and now it's happening.
It's happening. The other day, and one of my colleagues, she was using it. So we're all using Zoom, right?
Yeah.
So, usually when you're on Zoom, there's some great conversations going on, especially with, you're having these great meetings, right? So Zoom has all of these apps that now you can actually add on to Zoom. So one of those apps is called Phantom. So
Mm-hmm.
Phantom actually takes the notes for you. So you don't have to,
Really?
yes, man, let me tell you how amazing it's spelled. So for those of you who are listening, it's Fathom. So it takes the notes for you, Gilbert, when you
Mm-hmm.
get off. So it's different than recording.
Right.
This is Phantom takes the notes when you end the session. Then it actually does a transcription of everything that you talked about
Right.
with your voice, and with the information. Say Gilbert talked about this, and your client talked about this, and you talked about this. But here's the best part about Phantom. At the end, you can get an AI generated summary of actually the notes that it'll take all the notes and then summarize it for you. And if you actually have to report those notes to anyone, like in my case, and in your case, we're teaching and training and meeting and coaching for other organizations, so we have to
Yeah.
provide them with case notes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It actually provides you with a summary that then gives you the case notes.
Co-host, I think you just made my life easier because I didn't know that existed. And and one of the problems I've been having is when I do one-on-one coaching with my clients, the things that we talked about after that one-on-one session, now I got to go back and summarize it and write it out. But if this platform can do this, that's amazing for us consultants and coaches. That's
I'm
amazing.
telling you, I'm telling you.
Oh
It is
man.
absolutely phenomenal. I
Oh man.
actually can show you how great it is. I did it with and I knew that it did some of it, but I didn't realize to the extent of what it did. So I'm going to
Yeah.
show you, and everyone else that's listening, and exactly what it does. Is absolutely incredible, better than anything I've seen. So let me see if I can find the
That is
actual
so amazing.
transcription. So it transcribes it, and
Mm-hmm.
then and here's another thing. It will actually, if you put the email in at the end of the notes, it will send it to the client.
Wow. So you can choose what email you want to put in so it sends that note to that person, right?
Yep.
Beautiful. Because now we can send it to, oh man, I love it. I haven't seen it yet, co-host, but I'm loving it.
It,
I
it,
am loving
it,
it.
it is absolutely phenomenal. When I at first I was like, okay, that's nice, but then when my friend said, no, 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 you're not understanding what I'm saying. You have to see it in its fullness. And
Yeah.
I thought, oh my God, when I actually saw it. So you don't have to take any notes ever again. It does it all for you. I'm going to
Wow.
show you what it does. So it is going to make your life so much easier. Now, I was using another platform called Evernote, but I still had to take my notes,
Yeah.
and um I still had to summarize it. But this actually does it for you, and you can set it up so whatever your conversation is. I'm gonna let me see, I'm gonna open this one up, but I don't want you to the sound. So okay, so I am going to show you what happens here. I'm gonna do a little
Yeah.
share so
This is
everybody take a look.
amazing.
So y'all want to get this. So here is, as you can see, these are the notes.
So
So
this is with the paid subscription, right?
this is no, it's free, Gilbert.
What?
It's free. So it tells everybody that was there and everybody that was part of it's connected to your Zooms. Whoever was invited in on the Zoom is
Mm-hmm.
all included. And then it does a little summary, and it's at questions, and then you get a transcript, and then you get the step
Oh,
by step here, and
yeah.
it has a copy of it. But
Yeah.
this is the best part. it then summarizes it and it puts it in nice little with timestamps
Yeah.
on what happened. And you can take these little notes and then you can copy those and you can email them to your client.
Wow, this is amazing.
And you don't have to take another note. You can spend your time paying attention to what your client is saying as opposed to making little notes and then having to go back and replace and then write the notes into another place, your case, what have you. You just can copy and paste. So here we were talking to run a show. So it just groups it together. The group discussed the need for a common goal and a direction of the work, identify key people that we're going to talk about, whatever. And then it goes down here. We talked about the logistics and how we were going to distribute the flyers, because this was a meeting that we were talking about in relationship to the run a show of an event that we were hosting. Is that not amazing?
Man, co-host, this is why we are the number one small business support podcast in Southern California, the US, and the world. Because these are resources that many small businesses don't know about, and they can use this to make their lives easier. Now think about this. This is what I just thought about when you mentioned that. Okay? Think about the single owner corporations and the single member LLCs who run their business, and if they want to have meeting minutes, right? If they want to have meeting minutes, they can hold a meeting here on Zoom and the thing transcribe their minutes for them. Oh my Lord.
And the transcription is there. And then after the meeting's over, you got a copy of this. You say, generate the meeting, generate the summary, and it will pop. Look at that. Meeting minutes. Meeting minutes, man. Take it. Put it in a
what I'm thinking about, right? I'm thinking about teaming up with Zoom right now. Small Biz Pro and Zoom. Can you imagine that? Because they're doing that part for meetings, and then the Small Biz Pro would be the part for running your business.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right.
Oh man, I love it.
And that is actually no cost, and you get all of that. No cost on Zoom. Now, there's some others that do even some more analytical stuff, but for this, my God, because a lot of times you're on a meeting and it doesn't matter whether it's your meeting or someone else's meeting. So let's say you're on somebody else's meeting. They are the one that actually is hosting the Zoom. Well, you're not keeping a copy of that meeting, but you can actually ask them, your phantom will show up as a note on the bottom, and it will take the notes for you and then summarize it. So, and
I agree, man. I agree. This is phenomenal. See, you just helped me to step up my game a little bit now, because now when I'm doing my one-on-one coaching with my clients, I could use this tool. And you see what I'm saying?
Jessica said, this is so amazing. I'm going to have to rewatch this to get the play-by-play. I tell you, when I run, and I'm thinking, oh no, wait a minute, my sound. Hold on. Okay, there you go. I'm thinking, oh my God, now I got to create all these notes, right?
Yes.
God, this is going to be, and who has time for that?
Nobody has time.
I was talking to my business partner. She says, Crystal, did you know? Because I was having a meeting with her, and I said, what is that? What is Zoom? Check it out. And so she had not realized. She calls me. She goes, I just found out a new thing that it does. So I said, what's that? She goes, it will generate you AI summary of the meeting. And I tried it, and I was like hooked. And in fact, the other day, it wouldn't come on. I felt like I was a drug addict. Like, where the notes Where the
Now,
notes, man?
now we're gonna become so dependent on that thing, man. I love it. I love it. I love it,
So give
man.
it a try. Next meeting, go.
Oh, for sure.
So
Well,
go in.
you and I are gonna practice on it first. We're gonna do a little Zoom session and see how well it records it.
So you just have to go in and add it to, and you just add it on. It's a simple process. You sign up for it, and it connects. I actually have it added onto my. I actually now have it on my desktop. So whenever I open up a Zoom meeting, it actually kept, and because I have it on my desktop, every Zoom meeting that I have, it actually pops up with it on a calendar, and I can see them, and I can actually start my Zoom meeting from that calendar, from that particular up. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
And that was very valuable information, Cole.
Okay,
very,
makes
very
life
valuable.
easier.
Oh Lord.
Especially if you have to provide case notes.
Man,
so
I
anyone
tell
that
you,
have to
man.
provide case notes, it doesn't get any better than
Ooh-wee.
fantastic.
Like I say, I'm gonna have to pursue establishing a strategic partnership with Zoom, because I can see how them using my tool and I use my company using their tool can help small businesses so much.
I think so. So
All righty.
there
So
you
do we
go.
have our guest? Do we
We
have our
have our
guest here?
guest. So with that, guys, we want to thank you all. Going over to your Zoom, because that is a part of regular business now. You
That's
cannot
right.
have a business without having a Zoom account, a paid Zoom account, not that little free 30 minutes and all of a sudden you're in the middle of a meeting and you get a flyer, a sticker that says, sorry, your meeting is about to come to an end. That really makes you look really bad.
That
so
annoyed me so much.
Pay your
so
$50.
I'm gonna have to sign up after this show, man.
And then get your Phantom so they can do your note taking, because it's very, very important to have all the tools of the trade to make sure you're a professional and an expert in what you do, because that makes a big difference.
That's right. So for those of you who are just tuning in, this is the Business Zone with Coach Crystal and Coach Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. And today, folks, we have an amazing show. As you can see, if you tuned in a little earlier, you can see that my co-host just uncover some treasures for small businesses, guys. And that's what we're going to keep doing on this show. And in addition to that, our guest today is a wonderful entrepreneur who's going to bring some more treasures to you guys to make your life easier. So, co-host, you want to do the honors of introducing our amazing guest?
I am. Hello, Dr. Tana Sessions. How are you?
I'm good. How are you both?
Oh, fine.
Dr. Session, welcome to the Business Zone. We missed you. It's been years.
I know. I can't believe how time flies by. I think I was there in 2018 or something.
I know. But guess what, though? We are happy for you because we hear what you're pursuing. You're pursuing big things, your attorneyship and all that good stuff.
So she done a whole lot. She became a doctor. At first, she was an author. So when she came on to us, what was that?
2018.
2018. Yep.
So she had just written her second book.
Yes.
So that's when she first came on. Since 2018, the lady has been quite busy.
4 years, man. 4 years.
Right. She's been very, very busy. In between that, she done traveled all over the world.
Man, yeah, I saw those things. I'm going, man, I want to do that. So, Dr. Sessions, welcome to the Business Zone. And you know we love you here because we love what you say about HR and small businesses. So we're going to delve into that today.
All right. Good.
Yeah.
I had no idea what's coming my way, so it's all off the cuff.
Well, let's first introduce you. So Dr. Tana M. Sessions is an award-winning consultant, international speaker, executive level performance coach, best-selling author. She is a thought leader in diversity and multi-generational well, she's a multi-generational thought leader and media contributor. She just has been doing some amazing things. I don't care what media you pick up, if you are following her on LinkedIn or if you're following her on Facebook or Instagram, she is doing some incredible things. And this year, I think you made the announcement that you are studying for your law degree.
Yeah.
So you didn't check off all the boxes.
I told my husband years ago, he was like, "How many more degrees and certifications do you want to get?" I told my name was like a sentence.
I love that. I love that.
And we're just so proud of you. I mean,
Thank
just
you.
absolutely amazing. So tell us, I mean, you've been doing a lot. So what is driving all of this, other than the fact that you want your name to be a sentence? What's driving you to one, the DR is one thing, being a doctor, and then two, the legal aspect of what you're doing. And I think when I first met you, which was with the Bellas, because we're all part of the Bella Network, you were pretty much just making your way into being an HR specialist, and so you've gone way beyond that. So what has been driving this passion and this pursuit for this long sentence?
Well, I've been in HR for over 30 years, and I left corporate and started my own company in 2014. So that probably was around the time that we met, Crystal, maybe around 2016 or so. Mm-hmm. And going to law school was always something I wanted to do ever since I got my MBA, and I took my first business law class, and I was like, "Ooh, this is interesting." And then I've met so many friends that have gone and family members that have gone on and gone to law school. But at the time, I was a single mom. I needed to get my son through middle school, high school, college, and I started my own business. So it's been a living dream of mine for 14 years. And last year on my birthday, I decided to apply, because on my birthday every year, I try to do something that takes me out of my comfort zone.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, that's what I did. And so I'm finishing up my 1L year, and I've passed my classes so far. So we'll see. This is different, though. This is different.
Yeah. So your area, so diversity, include equity and inclusion, which is huge today. Yeah. Is that where you're going to stay, far as the HR component of law, or employee side, or the employer side?
Actually, I'm going to go for civil rights. So I want to take the work that I do around diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, and accessibility and justice, and look at it outside of the four walls of corporate America, because it's great to make change within an organization, which I've been doing successfully. However, when the employees leave out of the workplace, they still got to deal with these changing laws and book bans and everything else that's going on. And it's just starting to spread. And so one of the areas I want to focus on is regulations, policies, and procedures that impact marginalized people in the workplace.
I love that, because I don't think there are too many people who are taking that angle in the marketplace. So that's going to make you a trailblazer in that aspect. And I love it. Plus, before, you were educating us on the whole HR platform and who it benefits and who it does not benefit. So perhaps we can talk a little bit about that too, just to let our audience know what's going on.
Yeah. So HR, first and foremost, HR are the culture advocates, right? They're the ambassadors of the company culture. Mm-hmm. And so what that means is they have to walk a fine line between protecting the rights of employees and mitigating risk for the employer. And sometimes employees will feel that HR is only on the employer's side, but that's not necessarily the case, depending on the person in HR. I'll say that first as a caveat. Mm-hmm. But we look at it just like a lawyer. Like, we have to look at the policies and procedures and see how the employee's actions either violated them or didn't. And then we have to make certain that the employee's rights are protected underneath those policies and procedures. And we have to help mitigate risk for the company. And so that's why sometimes it's hard for people to know whether or not HR is really on the employee or employer side, because they don't necessarily know all the nuances of what's being dealt with behind the scenes, right? Because it's usually very highly confidential. You can't go out and tell other employees, okay, I had to fire Tana because, she cussed her manager out. Like, you can't go out and do that. You have to, protect the privacy of the employee too, while also
Yeah.
doing an investigation and then coming up with
Right.
a decision. Yeah.
Right,
So
right.
this is how I'm looking at it, right? I'm looking at it this way. So let's say I'm the company and you are HR. I'm hiring you to protect my assets and resources, which could be my company name, my company's reputation, my money, our operation, and our ethics.
Yeah.
But at the same time, while you're doing that, you're making sure that the things we're doing are not that egregious so that it affects the workers, right? So
Right.
that the workers may want to file a lawsuit. So HR is in its current state is walking that thin line where it takes care of its employer, which is the owner, right? But at the same time, take care of them just enough to make sure that the employees don't feel like they're exposed to abuse, right? Is that the rule?
It is, but you left one important factor out of it. Without the employees, would you have a company, right? So it can't just be focused on operations and protecting the company name and the CEO, because you also have to look at it again from both sides. So, you have to go in. One of the first things I do is go in and review whether or not the policies and procedures are fair and equitable. Are there
Mm-hmm.
people that are going to be negatively impacted by those policies and procedures, and then pointing that out.
Right.
And then, helping them understand how laws have changed, and they have to keep up with the laws. Like now, all salary ranges have to be posted on all job postings. I think that's a great thing. It helps level the playing field for Black and brown people and women also, and those with different abilities, to be able to negotiate better for salaries and
Right.
promotions. So those types of things. And employers weren't pleased when that came out.
Right.
For my clients, I had to talk them off the ledge.
Yeah.
They had these really big, broad ranges, like, anywhere from $1 to $1,000. I'm like, no, that's not going to work.
Good. So see, you come in to fine tune things, because before they operate in a general space and general expressions and all of that, and they would get away with that in the workplace. But with your approach, it'd say, hey, let's fine tune this a little bit now, because the workers have rights too, and let's honor that, right? That's where you're at.
And it's
go ahead, Crystal.
It's so interesting because we seem to be in an era today where the CEO's salaries are they're almost like 400% greater than their actual employees.
Yeah.
So you have such a disparity between the haves and the have-nots right there in the same company that you're working in.
Yeah.
And it's like they're not in touch with the realities of their employees. So how do you deal with that? Because that's that equity piece, right?
Yeah.
And that's a very good point. So let's think about what we've been experiencing over the last 3 years with, those that can work remotely being able to do so. And now CEOs saying, hey, I want you back in the office, right? And so the thought there was, well, who does that really benefit to be back in the office?
Yeah.
The CEO, they have a nice big office probably. Traveling to the office may not be as much of a financial burden to them, whether it's for gas or public transportation or however the employees, have to get into the office. Childcare may not be an issue for them. And so, having those conversations with them about something like that as well, to say, hey, look, what does it really take to, in your mind, for your employees to really be productive, to meet the needs and goals of the company, but also meet them somewhere in the middle so that they are having the flexibility that they need on a home front so they can show up as better employees. And so I'm really glad that more and more leaders over the last couple of years said, you know what, you don't have to be back here 5 days a week. Work out a schedule that works for you and your management team. No one's going to police it and make sure you're here, but at least ensure that the work is getting done, right? And the employees are saying, hey, look, as long as I'm being productive, why do you care where I work?
Right, exactly. And it's actually studies showing that employees are more productive in a remote environment, or at least given a hybrid opportunity, because now, that was a big thing when you compared the employees, and from the HR standpoint, how many employees have to take off because their children are sick or go picking up their kids from school. Now they have more flexibility. So then now they feel more, there's a better working relationship
Yeah.
So I don't feel like from 8 to 5, I am trapped in this place, but I have another life outside of here. And now I can't serve both of these masters, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We met them in the middle.
We have to meet them in the middle. But of course, yeah, I think what Elon Musk said the other day.
Oh,
Yeah. That what do
don't
you
get me
call it?
started.
The laptop class of people that just is not in touch reality with this whole remote thing. And it's really about micromanaging. I can't
Yes.
micromanage you if you're at your house.
Exactly. Exactly. I want to know if you're in your pajamas. Why?
Why exactly? And then he is completely over the top. I mean, he
Yes.
wakes people up in the middle of the night, requiring people to sleep at his. I mean, how do you get away with that stuff in this, especially in the state of California? Because the state of California is an island, a state all on its own.
You mean a country all
on its
It's a
own.
republic.
It's a republic of its own when it comes to its employees and the employer.
Yeah.
So how do you get away with that stuff here in this state?
Well, you don't, and that's why he's had so many lawsuits. And I'm sure there's more coming.
Oh yeah. And see,
you probably figures the cost of doing business, but you got high turnover, you have burnout, you have people working in toxic environments, and they're not going to stay, right? And then you're going to lose quality of products and services. And I think ultimately it's going to hit the bottom line. So until it hits him in the pocket, he can just say whatever he wants on his little, soapbox.
Yeah. And see, that's what wasn't happening before, like over the last 10, 20 years and beyond, right? That wasn't happening. So employers like that could come out and talk any smack they want, and employees have to cower it down and say, okay, we'll do what this person wants. And there was no one like you to step in and say, we're not doing that. You see what I mean? So let me ask you this real quickly, Dr. Sessions. Now, if you are hired by a client like that, right? But you didn't know that the client was like that before, and then you found out that that's what this policy is, what do you do? How do you handle that?
Well, I have to talk their language. So I've learned how to learn the business of the business first, right? So even though I'm coming in from a soft, if you will, soft cost, which is, employees and, HR, I look at it from a hard cost, which is dollars and cents. So I help them understand from a demographics perspective, from a revenues perspective, from a turnover perspective, what all the numbers are first, and show them where the problems are, the gaps, the concerns, the issues. And then from there, now they're looking at me differently, right? Because I'm sitting across from them with numbers and the math is mathing. And so that's how I'm able to open the door and have them start talking now about the soft.
I see. So let's say an obnoxious employer like that decide to behave like that, right? And you present your gap analysis to them and say, hey, here is a way that you can reduce costs, because the current way of doing business could expose you to a lot of liability, a lot of costs. So I'm recommending these approaches that might be a little better. Right. How do they deal with that when you make your recommendations? Do they say, we'll take it under advisement, or do they adopt it, or how does that?
I mean, it's been both ways, Gilbert, honestly. And sometimes the client just isn't a client for me, right? So I pretty much try to assess from the very beginning, before I even spend time doing any type of cultural audit or assessments or gap analysis. Are they in this for the long run? And understanding, and I tell them that, understand this is going to be a change management process, which means it's going to start at the top. And what's that going to look like? And so, sometimes it's a little tug and pull and a little, Jedi mind tricking along the way, and then some coaching too. But, when they start seeing some successes, or they start seeing some, moving in the right direction, then they're like, okay, well, maybe I could look at this differently. So they kind of need proof of performance sometimes.
Yeah.
That could be low-hanging fruit that's easy to do, or it could be something that's a little more long-term, but at least keeping them in the loop on how things are progressing.
Do they, when you provide them with analysis like this, so let's say you do an analysis, you submit it to them, and they're going, okay, we kind of feel 50-50 on this, but let's run it let's run it by our insurance company first, or risk management. Do they do that?
I haven't had that. I mean, luckily I carry enough insurance, so if anything goes awry, I'm covered. But I think they trust the background that I have.
Yeah.
Proof of performance with other companies. Sometimes they'll ask for to reach out to clients that I work with, and I have really good portfolio of clients that are happy to do so. But I think they've done their research. By the time they've reached out to me and we've done our little vetting calls, they're pretty much knowing what's coming. Like I don't play one way trying to get in the door and then switch on them when I get there. Like, this is what you're going to get. Like, I'm going to hold you accountable. There's going to be some hard truths told. We're going to have some difficult and uncomfortable conversations, and then we're going to get to work.
No, but see, let's say they already do all of that and they're happy with you. They do their background check, right?
Yeah.
But now they're wondering, do I want to implement this? But before we do that, let's run it by our risk management insurance company first. You see what I'm saying? Because insurance companies, they always advise these companies, some horrible ways, right?
Yeah.
Like for example, auto insurance. If they receive 100 claim a year, they're gonna reject all of them, all 100. And that's their policy, right?
Yeah, what are we paying for? Right.
Exactly. And then if, let's say, 20 of that 100 decide to reapply, then they'll take it, they'll review it, they'll reject it again.
Yeah.
And then maybe 5 out of the 20 reapply, and then they may say, okay, we'll pay these 5. So they're only paying 5% of their accident, which is a win for them. You see what I mean? So that's kind of what I'm talking about here with HR, that they may run it through their risk management department, and they say, okay, tell you what, this case, that we're going to reject all of them. And then if they reapply, then we may settle on 2 or 3 of those. Right? Do you find that happening?
No, it hasn't been my personal experience. I'm sure it's probably happening somewhere. Most times they trust the advice that I'm giving them because it's proven. But, do they run it by an attorney? Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. But I haven't had any situations like that.
Oh, okay.
I think today it's really more about cultural. So, we're dealing with a political... politics have seen crossed over into the business world.
It has,
right? That is creating some major issues. We have what's happening with Disney, what's happening down in Florida with the wokeness stuff. But even I think this week, Target has had a lot of controversy trying to be what they need to be for their consumers, but at the same time make sure they're straddling the line for the politics that's in place. So which is all part of that diversity piece, right? Making sure their message is consistent. So how are you guys dealing with that from your standpoint, from a DEI standpoint, and advising your clients when they're literally caught in the middle?
Yeah, they are. I don't envy them. Honestly, it's a tough situation to be in, especially considering, where they're located, right? So that's going to be a big driver in terms of who's the local market that are shopping or supporting that business. But, with my clients, one of the things, again, I tell them is, what this work is. And, it's not a black or white or brown or purple issue. It's a green issue. So if you're doing the right things by your employees and they feel like they belong, they can be their true, authentic selves. They feel psychologically safe in the workplace. There's equitable practices between policies, procedures, pay even. They're going to show up and give you the best work that they can and that they know how. And that's going to affect your bottom line. You're going to see increase in revenues. You're going to see increase in retention. It costs money to lose employees and it costs money to hire employees. And so when they understand kind of the concept of what this work is, and that this is not about being political, that this is really about looking at within the 4 walls of your organization, and what do you want the experience of your employees to be when they're there? They're there more hours out of the day than they are with their families. And so, and at the end of the day, these leaders are also employees. So helping them understand what are some of the challenges that you've had being your true authentic selves as a leader. Do you feel you can be transparent, vulnerable, make mistakes? Let's talk about that if you don't. and why, right? Have you been penalized before? Were you embarrassed in public? Those types of things, because they could be carrying some of that with them as leaders and then bringing it into the workplace as well. So, it's some psychology, it's methodology, it's science behind this work. And as I said, at the end of the day, it's a change management process. If anyone's done a change management project before, whether it's IT, finance, or whatever, this is exactly what diversity, equity, inclusion is. You're changing the culture.
Changing the culture. What do you see as a challenge presented by a diverse workplace overall?
A challenge? I think one of the biggest things right now are people really believe in it, right? I mean, the companies are talking it, and they have employee resource groups, and they have, let's say they have a head of diversity, or they bring someone like myself in. So they're getting the trainings, and, they're having different types of conversations in the workplace, but I don't think they just trust it yet, right? And I think that's one of the challenges. And then thinking about diversity, when different people from different walks of life are coming into the organization and not classifying them as a diversity hire, right? They're just a hire. They were the best qualified candidate. We just happen to cast a wider net to bring in different people that weren't already represented here before, so that we can be more innovative, have new problem solving skills, get different diversity of thought into the organization. We've become comfortable. So now we need to look for what can we add to the company that's going to be different, whose voice is not at the table. So I think those are the challenges, is helping employees understand that this stuff does not happen fast. Everyone thinks it does. It doesn't. It's not just about hiring someone black or brown or yellow, green, or purple. It is about looking within the organization, understanding where the gaps are, knowing what the lived experiences of those underrepresented populations are within the workplace, looking to address those gaps as quickly as possible. And then ultimately you'll get to a place of what they call true belonging, which is where I can come to work like this if I want to, and no one cares. No makeup, bleached hair, that kind of thing. I don't have to fit inside of a box to make others feel comfortable.
So you're going into the civil rights part of it from a legal standpoint. Do you feel we are at that place? And I know we had to do that for African American in their hair. We're going to have to start creating some laws and bills that is going to protect our diverse communities, and in order for us to be safe, because it seems like right now we're at a very vulnerable place, and just speaking diversity and inclusion and equity is not enough.
Right. It takes the work. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think, again, laws are going to have to be changed. Things that have been put on the books are going to have to be taken off. That's going to take time. We got to vote people out. And, the new generation of workforce, Gen Y and Gen Z, I'm somewhat jealous of them. I feel like they're going to benefit a lot from this blood, sweat, and tears I put into this. But, that next generation is built different, and I so admire them, and I'm thankful for parents like myself and others who have instilled the thoughts of equality and fairness and belonging into our children, because now they're in the workplace and that's just part of their DNA. It's what they expect to see, and when they don't have a problem speaking truth to power and questioning it. And that group, they're 50% of the workforce right now. By 2025, 75% of the workforce. They're the most culturally, ethnically, and socially diverse group to ever enter the workforce. 47% of Gen Z identify as ethnically minority. So what is that telling you? Change is here.
It's here. And I remember, and it's kind of interesting because I grew up on the East Coast in New York, to be exact. So we're a lot more, we're a lot more vocal. And I remember when I was in high school, we had sit-ins. We were very adamant. It was, I grew up in around the 60s and the 70s. So, we were real adamant about the fact we were proud of being Black. We didn't bite our tongue. But when I moved to Los Angeles, a little different. They weren't quite so
receptive.
They weren't there yet. They weren't quite as receptive as being vocal about it, right? They may have thought it and felt it, but they weren't quite there. And even today, even within my peer structure, and if you're from the East Coast, you probably feel the same way, right? You can have these conversations, and we're having these conversations today, and they come down and look at me like, "Whoa, Crystal," but they're a little bit still afraid to have these conversations, I think, and which creates a problem because you can't get everybody on the same page.
Right. And
It's
that's the thing. Over the last 3 years, it's definitely changed. Like for years in HR, being the head of HR, one of the things we didn't talk about was race, politics, and religion in the workplace. And now we're like, we need to talk about these things because we're leaving out a whole segment of our organization that don't feel like they belong or that they can be comfortable being their true self.
Yeah.
What a coincidence it is that all three of us are from the East Coast, huh? It's amazing. So before I ask you my next question, I want to say congratulations for that award that I see standing on your mantle there, that 2022 award. Tell us about that award.
Thank you. Yes. So this is from the Los Angeles Award Program, and they unexpectedly recognized me last year as a top HR consulting company in Los Angeles and California. And they came back and did the same thing again this year, but I just didn't get the plaque yet. It's still in my email box.
Well, we want to give you your flowers, man. We want to say, hey, not only did we know you would get to this point, but we want to say congratulations. And we want, at the Business Zone, we want you to continue to be that light, that beacon of light, because like I said at the top of this interview, not too many practitioners are doing what you're doing in the industry, because you're not just kowtowing to the employers. You're making sure you're drawing that line in the sand so the employees can benefit as well.
Absolutely.
And go ahead, Crystal.
And I think those in the HR specialists or consultants, they are really more from the outside of the corporation than inside of the corporation, because you don't have to play to a certain master, right?
Yes.
I think you guys have a really distinctive place today, fighting for that employee. Especially those that are minority, that don't have a tiny voice in a business, and they have to have employment in order to stay alive. I think it's so what you're doing is amazing, because they need you as an advocate to fight for them.
Yes.
Right. And
even when they don't think I am.
Even when you don't think that you am, but strategically you are. You just have to come at it differently than because you gotta make sure that one, it can't, because that's the thing that I see with diversity. Everybody seems to have that title from the inside, and they're planting that title in everyone. I was at Supervisor Holly Mitchell has a monthly exchange. It's called the Racial Justice Learning Exchange. Amazing. She has some very pointed conversations, right? And so one of the conversations she had a couple months ago was on white fragility. And so next time I get an invite, I'll send it over to you, because these are real conversations. So there were a number. So we break after we introduce the topic. She brings in experts to have a conversation. It's a short conversation, but what we do is break up into groups, and in those groups we have conversations. And so one of the groups that I was in, a number of individuals that had the title of DEIB, and they were feeling very frustrated because they feel that their employers would hire a diverse group of employees, lower income, your worker bees, but at the top, the ceiling, everybody looks like them. and they're struggling with the fact that you don't understand. It's not the lower tier that we got a problem with. It's the fact that the higher tier is all looking like one person.
That's so true. It's the typical pipeline problem where entry level, or maybe a couple levels up, you'll see a bunch of diversity. And then when you start getting to middle management, VP, direct, it gets thinner and thinner until it just fades away. Yeah.
Right. It's the pyramid effect. The pyramid effect. That's what it is. Go ahead, co-host.
So what's the challenges there? How does that break? And in fact, it used to be a middle management of minority, but it seems like that one of the biggest issues right now, I say, in our utilities companies and our companies that have supplier diversity, once those individuals leave now, they're not bringing in people that look like them. So how does the next generation be able to do business if nobody looks like them?
Yeah. I mean, hopefully the opportunities will be there regardless who's in control. But as we've seen historically, that may or may not be the actual effect. But I think,
Right.
again, it's the pipeline issue. So I've had managers tell me, I'm trying to find diverse candidates, but, I don't know where to look, or they're not coming through the pipeline. I'm like, well, where are you looking for them at? I mean, they're hiding in plain sight. So let's start there. And you don't have to lower the bar. It's not about lowering the bar to, allow someone in or give them an opportunity. Although that may be some of it, right? If you see something special in someone, you're like, you know what, that person, I think they got something here. They just need just the opportunity, right? They just need an opportunity.
Mhm.
But for the most part, you're not lowering the standards. You're not reversing what you're looking for in the job descriptions, because there are people out there that are diverse that have that experience. You just don't know where to find them. And so helping them understand how to widen that net so that they are catching, more diverse fish in it. And then they don't always have to eat the same kind, right? So that's part of the training, is to help them think about looking more broadly about where they're searching for people. Then also internally, more broadly internally, who are you looking at for promotions? Are you going through the same manager? Is the same manager putting the same types of people up every time? Let's look at this from a historical standpoint and find out what's going on there. Or is there a manager that never promotes anyone, right? That's a factor too. So again, just looking at it from all angles, because this goes throughout the entire culture, as I said, this entire company. So everyone has to be involved. It doesn't belong on the shoulders of one person or one department even. I even dare say DEIB should not be in HR. I think it should be its own separate practice, but they should be in sync and in partnership. They shouldn't be, when it's combined, it causes a problem of trust, and also a problem with actual implementation, because HR is already so busy doing HR stuff. Now they have to layer this on top. Yeah.
Right.
So you think it should be a separate department?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and ask my question now that I put aside. So my co-host and I, we've talked about this before on our show, because after COVID, we noticed a difference in the market workforce. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you this question, and I want to get your take on it. So we've seen a big exodus of employees from the workplace since COVID-19. Now tell us what your take is on that movement, and how do you see the marketplace either benefiting or losing from that movement?
Well, I would say first and foremost, it was an awakening. I think people were able to sit at home with no distractions for the first time in their entire life. And in 2020 through 2021, they did a lot of self-reflection, and they thought about their lives. They thought about what they liked and didn't like. And one of the main things they thought about was work. Do I like my job? Do I like who I work for? Do I like what I'm doing? Do I like the way I'm doing it? And a lot of those self-reflection, analysis came back no. And so they left. It was a big uptick of new entrepreneurs that came out of that. It was a big uptick of people who just left jobs without another job that came out of that, just to really give themselves a break and think about what is it that they want to do. And so I feel like it was a pivotal moment in historical time that probably will never come again. Hopefully, at least not under those conditions, if ever at all. And it allowed people to really do some self-assessment about what's important to them. And as a result, to this day, we still have more jobs open than we have talent out there looking for it. And I have a lot of my clients looking for talent. Like, we can't find anyone, or they fell out of the process, or they, decided that they went in a different direction. And I'm like, because people's value systems have shifted. The things that were important, like, I need a job and I need a salary. Now they're like, I want a place that has purpose. I want a place that respects me. I want a place where I can show up and be my true, authentic self. I want a place where I see representation of people who look like me in leadership. I want to know I have opportunities for advancement. I want to be treated with respect. all of those things that people in our minds we said, but if we didn't get it, we didn't care because we got a paycheck. Now they're like, I don't even want a check.
Right. And see, the thing about it is many of those positions will never be filled. And I'm going to tell you why they'll never be filled. Because now that these folks, like you say, have stayed home and reflected on their treatment, their value, and all of that in the workplace, a lot of them are becoming entrepreneurs because they're figuring, hey, I can get more respect out here in the entrepreneurial world than I would working for someone else. Plus, I can't get rich working for someone. I can get rich becoming an entrepreneur. You see what I mean? So all of that takes shape. So we just wanted to get your take on that as an HR, professional.
Well, even when I left the HR, when I left the corporate world, first of all, I was a horrible employee. But
thank you for admitting that, co-host.
I told my employer I was a horrible employee. In fact, that was how when I first left, I told my employer, I gave him a proposition that they could not refuse because I told him, I said, and this is before remote became remote, but I was like, let me tell you how we can really make this work. And you value what I do, but you don't value me because I'm an employee. I feel you'll value me far more if I'm a consultant. And this is what happens. If you leave your employer and become a consultant, all of a sudden you're the subject matter expert in that space, right? They will triple what they pay you and you become like the resident expert. But while you're in the employer space, the employee space with that title, you don't know anything.
That's true.
I mean, the next day you become an expert. The day before when they dropped you off payroll, you are the expert. It's like, okay, what the heck, right? So I gave him that proposal, and he took it, and they became a client versus me being an employee. But I told them, I said, look, I come in here. Let me tell you how this works. You can get good 6 hours of work out of me if I'm a consultant, whereas under the state of California, you got to adhere to those 15 minutes here, 15 minutes here. I've been here for 15 years, so I don't come back from lunch on regular time. You know this. So let's just be honest. So he's like, you're right, let's make this happen. And that's what happened. But
hey, co-host, tell her when you show up to work, right? If you show up at 9, what is it you do before you actually start working?
Well, from 9 to 9:15, you're actually getting coffee and chit-chatting with all the employees.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Right.
Before you 3 solid hours.
Yeah, right, exactly. Then you got to take that required 10 o'clock break, and then you got to take that. Then you go to lunch. That's your other requirement, and then you got to take that 3 o'clock break. So hey, we can eliminate all of that if I'm at home. And just pay me for the hours
people
that I
figured it out.
Right. And that's what happened. They figured it out. But here's the thing. I think, one of the things that when people work for me is empowering that person to feel that they're a valuable associate in your business is a much more win-win situation, because they will give you their all. But if you insist on this micromanagement, you only this much of value to me based upon what your hourly wage is to me, and not me empowering you to really shine in your position, then you're only going to get what you get. You're going to get what you pay for. And I don't get why employers don't get that.
I think some do, but they still try to squeeze all the juice out of that lemon. So.
Well, you know what though? You know what, Dr. Sessions? You know what I love about my co-host? She is honest, man. She is honest, because a lot of employees won't say what she's saying. They won't say it. They'll just, that's their little creed. But she says it. And she even told management, she said, listen, you can give me autonomy and let me do these things from home, and you'll get better value out of me, or you can keep me here in the office, and you're gonna lose about 2-3 hours a day out of my productivity.
But Gilbert, when I was there, I gave them. I was good at what I was, and I made sure as an employee that I became the resident know-it-all and know everything, and that they referred people to me, so they knew I was valuable. So with that, then that gave me the right. I felt empowered to say what I said because I knew what I delivered. If I didn't deliver that, then I wouldn't have done that.
I love it.
So Tana, as an attorney, what's your goal? How do you see that being more of an enhancement of what you're doing now?
Well, like I said earlier, it's about looking outside the organizations and looking at these policies and procedures that are changing all around us that are going to ultimately impact the lived experiences of employees in the workplace, whether they're hybrid or in the office or even remote. It's still going to trickle down to them. And so those are the things that I really want to be focused on. And, I've had people ask, like, you're going to go talk to representatives and politicians. Yeah, if that's what it takes. But I think, as an advocate for the workplace, the civil rights law degree is what's going to help me have a different type of conversation with them. You show up differently, they listen differently. And so that's my goal. And then ultimately, I want to be able to relocate to Africa and do civil rights work there.
Very nice. Very nice.
I was talking to a friend of mine's. He's here from South Africa because I was in South Africa just before you went to South Africa last year, which is amazing place. Your pictures were actually amazing. So I have a friend. She was born in South Africa, so I was there before her 50th birthday, but I met her family. So her brother has started an organization helping the youth. One of the things he shared with me that they don't have that foundational education for their kids. They don't have preschool. They don't have, so when kids start to school, they don't learn to read until their first, second, third grade, but they don't have that critical thinking. And so now as adults, I don't know what I saw when I was there was the poverty was so incredible from if you were in the townships versus the haves and the have-nots, and you have the racial issue, you have the class issue, you have a caste system there. They truly need input from outside of their country.
Yeah, the colonized did a number on them.
Oh boy, did they do a number. But I also saw, and let me ask this, did you see that? So I saw, and I felt this, so when we were going through our tour, I felt that there was such a hole that was left. It was especially in South Africa. I haven't been, I've been in Egypt, but I haven't been, and I know you went to other countries. By them calling out the best, which was our ancestors, to take them to enslave them here, and leaving who they left in the countries that they left them in, there's a hole, and there definitely there needs to be a migration of us and them in order to repair the hole here in America and the hole there on that continent. Did you feel that same thing?
I did, yeah. And, I think about the diaspora, right? I think, we're all like, nth degree away from Africa. And I wish that every African-American could go to Africa just so they can experience it for themselves and see, that these are our brethren and our sisters. And we have a lot to learn from them and they have a lot to learn from us. And together we're greater. We should have never been divided in the first place, across this transatlantic ocean. So I'm sorry, my dog is going nuts right now, but
that's okay.
He's not paying attention to my threatening little fan over there. I want to play with that. Stop. And so yeah, I agree with you. And I think that's why I have such a calling to go back there. My husband and I went there for the first time a couple of years ago. And over the last 2 years, we've traveled to 11 countries and we have like 6 more we're going to this year. And so we just have this thing where, not only do we continue to learn more and more about ourselves and our people, but we have a calling now to do something there. I don't know what it is, but I just know that's where we're going to end up.
Yeah, it was, oh my God, I felt it. And I tell everyone that's listening here, if you can make it happen, get to the continent. That is my plan, is to visit every country there, because just South Africa alone, it just left a want that, wow, we don't even understand here what we have here until
Right.
you go there. And I was just talking to Craig last night, because he's here visiting, and I was saying we take for granted the rights that we have from a political standpoint, that we can actually say something. and
Yeah.
and if we all came together here, we all took all our Black voices here in this country, we could get something done if we all work together. They
Yep.
don't
No.
have that there.
No. I think they have it in pockets, right? They have it in pockets, but it's not organized. Yeah.
Right. They don't have systems in Africa. We have systems that somewhat protect us. They don't have systems at all that protect them. And I do say that as African American, you really should find your way over to the continent, because it's so important. But I do feel that they're missing us and we're missing them. And for us all to be whole, we need to come together.
Yeah, I said from now I only want to go where I'm celebrated. I don't want to go where I'm tolerated. So all my vacations are Africa.
I'm with you. I'm with you, my sister. I'm heading back to Egypt in August.
Nice.
My niece lives there. But my next trip is Ghana. And then from there I want to go to Kenya and Zimbabwe. But that's what I want to see. But South Africa was a little different, because I almost felt like, and I was just saying that last night, that it's like, okay, they gave you, it's like here, they gave us Obama. Okay, now you Black people should be satisfied, right? So we gave you Mandela. Why aren't y'all happy?
Exactly. That's exactly what they're saying.
That's exactly
what they're saying. Yeah.
So yeah, right. That's how I felt. And so, we should definitely, and Gilbert is from Jamaica. But Gilbert, you need to go to the motherland, man. So
yeah, I need to.
I'm part Jamaican. Gilbert, I told you that before. I'm part Jamaican. I just knew that's where I was going to retire. And then I went to Africa.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
So Africa stole my heart. I was like, oh, I can't go to Jamaica now. I got to go to Africa. Now I got to go to the roots.
There are 54 countries in Africa, and I don't know if I'll be able to go to all 54, but I want to go to at least 20.
Some of
Which one? Which one? Oh, like Rwanda. Maybe not Rwanda. Oh, Rwanda is good.
That's where we're moving. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Ghana is a good place too, because they're rebuilding right now, and I noticed there's a lot of Jamaican flavor and themes there in Ghana. So yeah, that would help. Well, I guess your doggy's telling you that it's time to sign out. So do you want to put your information, give us your information, we can put in the chat so folks know how to get a hold of you?
What do I put in the private chat?
And Crystal will just post it in the general chat.
We are so proud of you and all of that you're doing. And however, but the whole Africa calling thing, I feel it, I understand it, and so I'm trying to work with my
I can see you over there, Crystal.
Mine's is the youth thing. So I've been telling when I was talking to Craig yesterday, it's like, okay, let me see how I can get over there to teach the entrepreneur programs that I teach. And he is looking at doing some things that will help him be able to educate not only the young entrepreneurs, but as well as the artisans, and providing them with entrepreneur training. So the program that we are teaching, the curriculum is called Nifty a Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. I actually introduced him to one of my colleagues, and so we're going to look at taking that program to Cape Town. And I told him I will be there right behind you so I can help teach that program, because there's so many young people there that, it's good to teach my kids here, but they're there's some real needs there. So yeah, I would
Yeah,
like
no
to.
wonder the population in Africa is trending very young, right? So their
Yeah.
Gen Y and Gen Z are actually the majority in most countries there. So it's a very young, robust, energetic, energized, change agents, next generation there. So good for you. I think you'll make a huge
Yeah.
impact.
Okay.
Yeah, I would love to do that. So I'll see you over there, my sister.
Well, Dr. Sessions, you've been phenomenal as usual. We always love to have you on the Business Zone. So feel free to come back anytime so we can talk more about what you do, because what you do is really vital. Not too many people know about that. They need to start delving into that. Now, I don't know if you're doing any government contracts right now, but what you do is a very great offering that you can start infusing in government contracts. So
Yeah,
just think
definitely.
about that. And
Absolutely.
that's where the millions of dollars will start flowing in, right?
Yeah, she's actually
Yeah.
certified. She's a certified.
Mhm.
I have another platform, a podcast that I do on Thursdays called the Community Briefing, and we had the small business, the California Office of Small Business Advocate. Her name is Tara Lynn Gray. You probably should reach out to her. I think there's some stuff that you could do, and she's actually in
Oh,
the
wait a
diversity.
second. I know her. I know her. You know, you were talking about her co-host, and I'm going, wait, that name sounds so familiar. She's from Fresno, right? She's
Yeah,
from
she's from
the
Fresno.
Bay Area. I
Mhm.
taught some workshops for her.
Yeah,
I
so
know
Tara,
her.
Tana, you need to meet with her.
I
Her name
know
is
her.
Tara Lynn Gray. She's on LinkedIn. I can send
I
you over
just
the
sent her a
information.
connection request. Say less.
Oh,
Yeah,
you just did?
yeah,
Yep.
she's in the diversity.
Yeah, I'm on it.
She yeah, she is actually at one point she was the second highest position with Governor Newsom, and you need to meet with her. You definitely do. And she was talking about you know advocating for small businesses and making sure they get all the resources they need. So I will also put in a good word and let her know that you'll be reaching out to her.
And
Perfect. Yeah.
here's what here's one of our loyal viewer and listener, Mr. Fernando Young. He runs a black business platform, and he
Oh, nice.
too has a show. Yeah, he does have a show as well. So who knows? Maybe he'll try to reach out to you to have you on as a guest
Yeah,
as
but
well.
Business Los Angeles.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let me go take this little four-legged toddler out.
All righty. Well, it was good seeing you, and good luck with and
Thank you.
we're congratulating you early on your
Yes.
JD degree.
Oh yeah. When you get it, you gotta come back on here
I
so we
sure
can
will. I
celebrate you and give
sure
you your
will.
flowers.
And
Thank
looking
you for
forward to
always supporting me. Thank you.
yeah,
Not a
looking forward to
problem.
legislation with your name on it.
Oh yeah. It's gonna probably call the Tana M Sessions Bill.
That's right.
Love
Exactly.
it. Love it. Love it. All right,
All right.
Dr.
All right.
Session. Thank you
Have
for
a
being
good
on the
one.
business zone. For sure.
Okay.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Bye bye.
All
Enjoy the
righty.
holiday. Okay.
You
Bye.
You
too.
too. Enjoy.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye.
So, co-host, I was gonna ask you.
All right. So you do
Um,
know her.
yes, I do. You know, I did think about. I thought about 2 or 3 classes for her up there in the Bay.
Well, you
Edison paid for it.
you
So
oh okay.
it was one of those classes where you fly up in the morning.
Oh, I remember when you and I.
Yeah, exactly.
So you need to reach out to her.
I know her. She already knows me. She
Okay, well,
already
you
knows.
need to reach out to her so you can get the Small Biz Pro in
Well,
place.
I introduced it to her too, and we were negotiating, and all of a sudden it stopped, and it just went away. So
Was
I
that
don't know.
with that since she been with Governor Newsom?
I didn't know she was with Governor Newsom's office, but
Oh yeah, she's the second in command.
yeah, she runs the Bay Area Black Chamber of Commerce.
She
So
used
that's
to. Now
so she left.
she was appointed by Governor
Governor
Newsom
Newsom. Okay.
as the she is now let me give you her title.
Oh
She
yeah.
now got some power. She now is she was sworn in as for the California Office of Small Business Advocate. She's the director.
Yeah, that's good. She was a director, executive director over there in Fresno also.
Yeah, so
Oh
now
yeah.
she is in a whole different position. She is
Yeah.
actually working for the governor's office. So reach
Right.
out to her.
I'll definitely reach out. Yes.
Yeah, that's a different capacity now.
Yeah, yeah, because
And
she saw the value of Small Biz Pro as well, and we were trying to make it available to her membership, but something happened. I don't even remember what happened, but I
yeah,
think
well,
COVID came and
yeah.
that
Well,
kind of
now she's advocating from a different place. So catch her now um while she is actually the director. And she said she was at one point the second in command, his second highest position
yeah,
for his office. Now there's a couple
yeah.
of other people, but she yeah, she is definitely Black excellence. So reach
Beautiful.
out to her.
No, I definitely will. Definitely will. Now, we had planned on doing loan readiness, go over a loan readiness checklist for our viewers and listeners, but we ran out of time. So I
We'll get that
guess
next week.
on our next show, we will
Yeah.
definitely present that, guys. So, and it's not just for loans. This is funding. So when you're going after funding, there's certain things you need to know and have in place. So we're going to go over that for you guys. We have a nice checklist here that will be helpful and beneficial
Okay,
to you.
so that'll be our show because we don't have a guest next week. So Fernando, when we gonna have you on, dude?
I know. What's up, Mr. Fernando? You've
We'd
been
love to have you on the show.
you've,
So
you've been ghosting us, huh?
yeah, but next so June 1st, what is it? June 3rd is actually the next show. So
Okay.
we'll do that
Next show.
June 2nd is actually my mother's birthday, so we'll
Oh,
do that.
really?
So we'll
Oh
do
man.
being loan ready, what that
Okay.
looks like, and we're looking for guests for the month of June. So you guys reach out to us and let us know if you're interested. But
And again, I want to put it out there, guys. Just for those of you who are listening right now, whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or any of those platforms, I just want you guys to know this. What we talk about here on the Business Zone is really vital to the survival and growth of your business. Now, we've been saying this over and over. We talk about business readiness, we talk about contract readiness. Now, we're going to talk about loan and funding readiness on our next show. We really want you guys to tune in and listen carefully because we talked about the Olympics and the FIFA World Cup coming here in Los Angeles in 2026 and 2028. Now, if you're a small business, you know it's difficult to gain access to funding. So if you start working on that right now, understanding from the checklist what you need to have in place, then you can start working on having a line of credit so that in 2 years or 3 years, when the FIFA World Cup comes here to Los Angeles, you guys will have cash available. So if you need to hire employee or you need to buy equipment or whatever it is that you need, you can do that without going to a bank at that time. Just
right.
remember this. You always want to ask or look for money when you don't need it. Don't ever wait until you need it because that's when you won't get it. So that's
Right,
what we're doing
exactly.
here, guys.
So being ready. Again, it's all about readiness, not getting ready, but already being ready. So
That's
we
right.
want to thank you guys for tuning in today. We want to also wish you a happy Memorial Day weekend. Be safe out there. It's also graduations going on, so we're asking you to be safe out there. A lot of your young ones are graduating either from high school, so that's some major accomplishments, and then many of you have college students that are graduating. So we want to congratulate you congratulate your young people on their accomplishments. So until next week, June 2nd, we will be signing off, and we want you guys to have a fantastic weekend Just be safe. No drinking and driving, guys.
That's right. So, on behalf of my co-host Crystal Mitchell and I, the small business paramedic, we are out.
Bye-bye.
As a small biz pro, so we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, so we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an